In Chapter 3.
You married my ex-girlfriend. She will tell you, I do not...
Let me tell you something. I will say her name. Her name's Catherine. And by the way, I can't think of anything grosser than you implying that you had sex with Catherine. and don't say ex-girlfriend. You went to Ireland once.
A clip from Diamond Dogs appeared to be discussing a controversy the Cleveland Slow had with the Irish woman Catherine. Institute researchers have determined this was not the case. They were talking about a woman named Andrea Allan. She was at one time a producer for Keith and the Girl. A newly discovered podcast episode tells a very dark tale. A link to the full episode is in the description. Here are the salient parts.
So this episode is talking a lot about sexual assault in the comedy community and allegations of various, the new vogue term is sexual misconduct. But Andrea's, she's raging about a situation she has now found herself in about a comic that we both know who has allegedly done some shit. Like, I've known him in comedy since I was in college.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, nice guy, funny guy, I like his jokes. And then in my early 20s, I went on multiple dates with women.
Yeah.
I told you this, that who somehow it comes up, oh, you do comedy? Oh, I've dated some comedians. So so I've been on multiple dates with women who, when this comes up that they've hooked up with or dated comics, and you're like, well, who? And then they've all said this name. And it was almost always like some sort of weird, we're on a first date. Not all of them are being like, yeah, that man did X to me.
Yeah.
But they always alluded to some shittiness or something like, oh, it wasn't great, or yeah, was that, or he was kind of like this. And so when you said it, I was like, this motherfucker. I've known for 10 years.
And that's the thing is there's the people who are involved in this confrontation have all known this person for a long time. And I think in recent years too, he's had a lot of tumultuous relationships with people who are younger than him. And it's been amongst peers being like, hey man, with these fucking younger, what do you, more so framed you keep having these messy, toxic relationships with people, but they're so young and they're so clearly not okay in some certain way because of their age or because of many other factors. So it was more why is it with it? You can't keep dating this type and then having it blow up and be so fucked up and then come to us and be like, oh my God. And we're like, oh God, another 22-year-old fucking was a mess. Yeah, yes. But this situation was there's that.
He was always kind of like this, but it was never past a certain point.
It was just this guy's weird and kind of shitty with wit. Not in the way that any of us knew the abusive nature, but we knew that it was a mess, and that I think certain people are I don't want to talk to you about this shit anymore with this breakup or this or that or whatever, and these young women and whatever. So I think that's a part of what we were ugh, okay, there's that.
This tracks.
Yeah, this tracks. Everyone around this person is very safe. Myself included, this is my, these are my extended friend group, And so someone said to me hey, if I was, talking to this person, I would probably feel more comfortable, going home with them or flirting with them, seeing him with all of his friends. I think there's a cosign that happens, especially with men, when they have cool female friends or whatever it may be. So I had a crush on a comedian. His name is DeVito, and he was involved in a community that I was a part of, which is a podcast community. Super fun, so many fun memories of going to these comedy shows and meeting these other fans of these podcasts and meeting these comedians who I viewed as celebrities. It was the funnest time ever.
Which is wild. Like hearing a comedian on a podcast, some people go like, wow, they must be no.
I know.
So they're like, no, that dude's got 4 roommates.
But that was, I know, right?
Right? Because but people don't know.
They don't know. And I didn't know, and I did view these people as celebrities.
I saw him headline Hilarity, so he must be, no, that gig paid $800.
Maybe. God, $800. Woo. Don't get me excited. So I told this person that I liked them. And I asked them on a date, and he said, you know, I'm more looking for a girlfriend. Like, basically, he was like, you're a drunk slut, and I'm not interested in that. Ouch. Fine. Maybe find a nicer way to put that, but like...
You're not wrong, but you're being mean.
Yeah, you're being mean. But then this guy we would get drunk, and... you know, every once in a while we would like make out or whatever it may be. And then we kept hooking up like here or there. I don't remember a lot of it. We both drank a lot, and he still drinks, much to the detriment of his health. And one night I went to hang out with him and other comedians near his apartment, and we went home together. And immediately, and again, this is like, I think women can really empathize with this. You go into a space and you're like, I don't like it. Like, you're like, it's dirty. There's 4 roommates. It feels scary. I've walked into the home of a broken man.
The posters are hung up with Scotch tape.
Yes. Yeah. And you're like, oh, this person's sad in a way that I didn't realize. And now my pussy's dry as a bone. So it was one of those situations where I was like, I think there's mold on the carpet. I didn't
even know carpets could get mold.
I know. So whatever. I just didn't feel like I wanted to hook up. And then we were hooking up, and it just like wasn't really happening in any way. And then I said I didn't want to anymore. And like asked him, but I lived very far away. I lived in another borough. I remember being super broke at that time, and I was like, the train is like 5 fucking hours. I can't afford an Uber right now. I remember being like, oh, I don't have money. That's how I remember this, because when you're a victim in a situation like that and you're drunk, you weirdly have like poignant little memories that you hold on to, because you're like, I remember I didn't have money, and so that's why I couldn't take a cab. So I know that I'm telling truth about the situation because I remember that piece of information. The nuances, the weird sex stuff, it's hard, but why wouldn't I just take a cab? I knew I didn't have money. So I was like, can I just sleep on your couch? You know, because I don't have money, but I don't want to sleep, you know, stay in your bed or whatever. And he was very like about it. And then he was like, well, can you just give me a hand job? Like, you can't just like stay, you know what I mean? It was like, it was like, you can't stay here unless you give me a hand job. And then I begrudgingly also like, why do you want a hand job? You can't keep it up because you're drunk. I don't fucking know. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was like half giving this guy a hand job. Like,
he needs to come.
Right. So, you know, I probably failed, but begrudgingly tried, you know, and just remember being like, I hate this. I just remember being like, I hate this. Ugh. And then like the next day he took me for coffee, and the whole time I was like, I gotta get away from this person. Like, the situation sucks. Also, may I say, this person also, I sent him nude photos, and then like I didn't go to his birthday party because I had to work, and he was mad at me for that. So he showed other men my nude photos. Like, oh, look at this picture, man. One of them being a person that I had worked for. One of them being my friend. My friend who saw it was like, hey, Ray is showing people naked photos of you. And his excuse was like, oh, I just wanted to show you off. Like, it's a compliment. You know, again, bullshit. And then the forums discussion of my weird sexual assault situation begins, and everyone weighs in on whether I'm lying or whether this guy's a good guy. You know what I mean?
Is it an assault, or should we just use a different word?
Right. Is she slutty and blah, blah, blah. My sexual history was brought up so much during this, and I didn't even ask for this to be brought up.
No.
Like, I was processing this on an individual level. I had been processing with this guy. I'd also very publicly been like, hey, fuck you. Like, we did like a roasty thing once, and I remember during my set being like, hey, you showed everyone my fucking nudes, you know? So I had not been like pretending that. I'd also been surviving in the comedy community seeing this guy. Then he denies it, obviously. And I wrote a very long thing. I use my skills as a comedian and writer. I wrote a very long thing being like, you have to listen to it. I think I was very fair to you. Also, like, this happened. And he had said, like, well, I wouldn't do that because I was drunk and I couldn't, like, get my dick hard, and I didn't do that. I didn't blah, 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 blah. Complete denial of the situation. A few days go by, and he goes, you know what? I lied. I don't even remember that night.
The Cleveland Slow never remembers. He does not remember how he boarded the cruise ship incorrectly. He does not remember driving into a semi on I-80. He does not remember his 2020 DUI arrest. Whenever it suits him, the Cleveland Slow does not remember.
I don't remember anything. Whatever she said is, I'm sure it's true. And like, I'm going to stop drinking, and, you know, I'm posting this here. And if I keep drinking, then I'm full of shit. Years later, he's still drinking. So
Drinking part aside, how did it feel to see that post?
I was like, yeah, you fucking liar. Okay, but now this is not even the worst part.
Huh.
That's not even the worst part. That was like,
I
okay.
thought that was supposed to be like the pseudo happy ending.
It's not a happy ending though, because then the male host who originally like brought it to the table without asking me, I'm out in the world. I get a text from this person, and he said, I'm going to interview this guy about what happened between you two. Don't worry, I'll make it not awkward. And I'm like, what are you fucking what? And he's not even being like, can I? He's like, I'm doing this now with this guy. So now again, it's like, what? You're not equipped to do this. Also, fuck, how are you not going to make it awkward? What are you, now this is now this is fodder for your fucking show. This is also like you, like, irresponsibly confronting someone. You don't have the fucking chops to do this. You shouldn't be doing this.
So what happened? What happened?
No, we talked on the phone, and you understand why I can't, like, go into detail, but, like, it's not.
The Cleveland Slow is a monster.